how to create such attractive thumbnails for your GTA 5 videos. In this video I will show you the process of creating one of my latest GTA 5 client work. So if you want to know the secret of creating such thumbnails, then watch this video. I think it will be useful to you. To begin with, it is desirable to collect all the necessary material in a separate folder and think about the idea of the thumbnail. This way you'll get through the work faster and won't be distracted by searching for materials and ideas. Here are my source files. This is the main photo, a few photos of cars, and a photo of the sky. This sky photo you can get in my free pack, which I reviewed in this video. So after watching this video you can watch the review of my pack, because not only this photo is there, but many other files that will help you in creating thumbnails. I select all the materials and add them to an already created project in Photoshop. Here are the settings for that project, by the way. I hide all the pictures except the main one and stretch it out like this. The next step, I separate all the cars from the background. To do this, I press the hotkey W, select the object, then switch to the tool lasso and with clamped shift correct the selection. I just go along the edge of the selection and fix the selection. Then I go to select and mask and make the selection more even, better quality and so on. I advise you to move these sliders to understand which one is responsible for what. After clicking OK, convert the car, just go to a smart object and select the second one, already with the character. I do it in the same way that I select the first car. To make a selection several times, you need to press the Ctrl key and select as many times as you like. Then I switch to the lasso tool and go through where Photoshop fell. And also in select and mask, I make the selection more qualitative, and then we need to deal with the last car. I think there's no need for explanations. I do everything exactly the same, no changes. Also, don't forget to convert layers into smart objects, because if you move them, their quality will be ruined. While in order not to go far, let's also cut out the remaining cars from the background, because the image is of higher quality and it will be easier to select. In addition, Photoshop itself did a pretty good job, if not perfect. It remains only to correct the same points. I think it's okay not cut out the shadow. Select and mask, and here I think you don't even need to change anything. Convert to a smart object, turn on the second car and also select. Here the quality is a little bit worse, but I think it's not a problem. Here we can already change the settings a little bit. I'm going to move them around a little bit so that they look normal in perspective, but overall it's going to look something like this. The next step will be color correction of all objects to make them look more attractive, more expressive, more saturated, and so on, and in the end to make them all look about the same. I'll start with this car, but looking for the outside I think it's a mistake. First I need to make color correction for the main objects and then the minor ones, because then it will be easier for me to formalize everything with the same style. I hope that I explained it clearly. Well, and here I also set up color correction, but in the future I will change it a little bit because the picture will stand out. I'll create a new layer over the red track hawk. With alt pressed click between the two layers, and on the empty layer I darken the car a little bit to make it fit better into the composition, and do the same with the second car. As you can see, I just make the picture lighter, remove contrast, add textures and so on. Here the color correction is more straightforward. Since I separate the object from the background and then change their position, I pushed in the area of visibility of the part of the image that is not removed. It happens if the picture is large, as in our case with the 21:9 format. I double click on the layer with the character, thus I get into the smart object. This is one of the reasons why you need to convert layers into smart object. I choose a stiff brush and black color on the mask to remove unnecessary parts of the image. To save, I press Ctrl+S. Since the two cars in the back are from the same image, I just copy the color correction from this layer to the car layers. Just with Alt press, I transfer the effect to the desired layer. I then edit the color correction on these layers a bit, but the changes won't be significant. For the layer with the background and asphalt, I'll do a little different color correction, like this. But in fact, with the texture, I still overdid it. We need to remove it a little. You can also add a little bit of sharpening and remove a little bit of noise. I think it looks better that way. The sky in the original picture is too simple. I think we can replace it with something more interesting. To quickly replace the sky, I click Edit and then select Sky Replacement. In general, the upper sliders in our case are useless, but for the sake of interesting and some development, you can move them. We need these lower sliders, and we need to adjust them so that the background is visible and that it does not stand out too much. It's something like this. Now I just select the layer with the sky, place it over the sky folder, and with Alt pressed, fix it. And of course, I transform it. That's the Ctrl+T key. And of course, you also need to make color correction of the layer with the sky. I'll make it more contrasty and saturated. I think it looks good. The hatch on the road I think should be removed. It somehow stand out a lot. I go to the smart object, select the area with the lasso tool, then right click and select generative fill, the one without neural nets. I click OK and save. I remind you that this is the key combination Ctrl+S. The next step will be to create an air perspective, so the objects will be better separated and the picture will look nicer. To do this, you need to create an empty layer under the layer with the red car, not necessarily under the red one. I just decided to start with it. I choose a soft brush, I choose a color like this, and I'm going to do a little bit of haze and erase the excess, of course. I create a new layer behind the cars in the background and also make a little haze. You can also do a little haze in the foreground. And like everything looks good, but something is missing. It looks a little boring and the cars merge. The picture does not look so bright. To do this, as you have understood, you need to change the color of the cars. The hue saturation will help me with that. I just create this adjustment layer, attach it to the desired layer and make these settings. It is important to put a check mark at the bottom. And with a brush like this, I use a mask to remove the color where I don't need it. And also don't forget to make opacity and flow at 100%. You can also invert the mask and paint the necessary details, but in this case it will be more convenient. I think we can make the color more saturated. Looks perfect to me. Let's get to the second car. This car I would like to paint in red color. I also create hue saturation and make similar settings, but with red color. Combination of keys Ctrl+I. Invert the mask and here I paint the necessary elements, as in this case it will be faster. And here you can also change the color a little bit. Now I duplicate the layer with this car and the adjustment layer. It is a combination of keys Ctrl+J, then reflected horizontally, placed on the left side and paint the elements that are now visible. Well, and change the color, for example, to green. And we are left to change the color of the car on the right. The car in the center, I think I'll leave it as it is. This car I think will be pink. I'm going to pick a brush and I'm going to do the same thing on the mask. It's a pretty boring job, but there's nothing I can do about it. I add text, choose a font, and think it's perfect for this thumbnail style. I add an arrow, which you can also get with my pack. Watch this video and get this pack free. The text color is white. I add a small stroke and shadow with these settings. Merge your layers into one. Use the keys Alt plus Ctrl plus Shift plus E to convert this layer into a smart object and make color correction. Make the picture brighter, contrastier, and more saturated. Do this using the same techniques we used with the cars and backgrounds. The car in the front stands out a little, so I create a new layer for selective color to fit it into the composition better. Then you can change the camera raw settings. I add a little stable diffusion, but it's not needed. I'm going to merge all the layers back into one. Convert this layer to a smart object and add a radial blur. To save the image, I click File, then Export and Save for Web, and apply the settings. I save the thumbnail to the desired folder.